All right, everyone, it is almost 5:30. I was hoping we might have quorum prior to now, but it looks like we'll have to either reschedule this meeting or this agenda will fall upon our next agenda. I think is it June 5th? Oh,
Board Member De La Rosa just confirmed that she's joining.
oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Never mind. As soon as she does, we will proceed as planned. Thank you. Maybe while we wait, do you want to share anything, news for the community? Dr. Gonzalez, thank you.
Yes, while we're waiting for Board Member De La Rosa to get the number to call in, President Trujillo, members of the board and community cabinet members, I want to begin by thanking those members of the community who came out at our last meeting on the 6th to give input on our Title VI grant, and which is our Native American Education Grant. And also thank you to our Superintendent Student Leadership Advisory Council who presented at the May 6th Governing Board meeting. Unfortunately, we had to reschedule, but fortunately, our students and families were able to present their findings to President Trujillo at that time. It was wonderful to see our students and to know that these leaders represent our future. Their insights and the actions and the ideas that came out of their action research are inspiring. While we are going to miss our students, our Superintendent Student Leadership Advisory Council, we are those who are matriculating to high school. The insights that they have provided are helping us to continue moving forward, and it reassures us that the future is going to be bright. Last week, we celebrated promotions at all of our schools, and we're so proud of all of our scholars from preschool, kindergarten, all the way up through our 8th grade students who are future high school. Well, now they are official high school students. We're wishing them the very best as they start the next chapter of their lives. Remember, students, stay curious, work hard, make your families and yourselves proud. We can't wait to see the wonderful things you will accomplish. We're also proud of all of our students who are showing great growth as they progress to the next grade. Tonight, we're going to see some of the academic celebrations of our students as we look at the progress monitoring, particularly for our English language learner populations. And yesterday, we celebrated Memorial Day, and as the daughter of an Air Force veteran who served in Vietnam, I personally want to thank all of our servicemen and women and their families who work to preserve our democracy. And we have great news to celebrate. Many of you may remember in public comment a few weeks ago, Mr. Pietrangeli from Kenilworth encouraged us all to vote for the Class Dojo monster designed by one of our first grade students. Here's the design that Isla created for our Class Dojo, and as you can see, she's the first grade winner. We're proud to announce that she will be receiving a trophy. She already received her trophy, swag for she and all of her classmates, and a scholarship of $1,000. Congratulations. And that's my remarks for now. Did we get Board Member De La Rosa on the line yet?
Yes.
Perfect. Welcome, Board Member De La Rosa.
Wonderful. With quorum present, I would like to call this meeting to order. at 5:34 p.m. Thank you all very much for attending tonight and for your patience. I'll begin with our tribal land acknowledgement. In partnership with the tribes who called Phoenix their home first, we acknowledge and respect the land our schools are built on. We commit to being a strong partner with any and all tribal nations who entrust their children to our schools. We are grateful and honored to be partners. Mrs. Shipp, may we please have a roll call to confirm who is in attendance this evening?
Roll call for Ms. Erica De La Rosa.
Sorry, was dealing with my mute button. Yes, here.
Dr. Alicia Vink.
Here.
President Trujillo.
Here. Thank you. With quorum present, we are able to proceed. Moving on. If you'll please join me, if you choose to, in standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States, to the republic. Thank you very kindly. With that, we'll move on to our adoption of our agenda. Dr. Gonzalez, do you have a recommendation for tonight's agenda? Shall we move forward with the agenda as presented?
We can move forward with the agenda as presented.
Thank you very much. I'd like to move that we adopt our agenda as presented. Do we have a second?
Can you remind me if I wanted to pull an item from the consent agenda for discussion, do I do that now or do I do that? Okay. D 10, just for discussion. So
Alright.
motion to
And,
amend or approve.
well, I've already made a motion.
So do I second the motion even though somebody wants to discuss it, or how does this work?
I think we
Yeah.
amended.
If you can second the motion and then discuss the pulling of that item, have a discussion about the pulling. Do you want it to be a discussion? Do you want it removed from the agenda altogether? Then after you decide to do that, then you can adopt the agenda as amended or not.
So Erica De La Rosa, I second the motion to approve the agenda.
Perfect. Any discussion, Dr. Vink?
Yes, I would like to pull item D10 for discussion
All right.
from the consent agenda.
Item that's listed as 2025 Professional Support Staff and Administrative Supplementary and Nominal Fee Pay Plan.
Correct.
Okay. Let's see. Would that move to our action space, Dr. Gonzalez? So we'll add it to there.
We can add it to the action space if the board adopts that amendment, that proposed amendment to the agenda.
Okay. Okay. Let's take a roll call vote to adopt our agenda as amended, moving item D10 to
You'll have to make a formal amendment to say, I would move item 10 from consent to action items.
okay. I move to move item D10 from the consent agenda to now be an action item as item E3. Do we have a second?
Alicia Vink, I second.
Thank you. May we have a
Okay.
roll call vote, please?
Ms. Erica De La Rosa.
Aye.
Dr. Alicia Vink.
Aye.
President Carmen Trujillo.
Aye. With that, our motion passes and we will move on with our beginning items.
And now you need to adopt the consent agenda as it's been amended.
When we get to that point. Absolutely. Thank you very much. Let's see. With that, we'll move on to item B1. I'll give a short student outcomes focused governance update to make up for the time that we've lost. The Student Outcomes Focused Governance Framework in Phoenix Elementary School District Number 1 is a strategic framework adopted by the governing board in the 22-23 school year to prioritize and enhance student achievement. This approach emphasizes aligning district leadership and decision-making with clear measurable goals centered on student success. The framework is built upon 6 key competencies: vision and goals, values and guardrails, monitoring and accountability, communication and collaboration, unity and trust, and continuous improvement. Let's see, with that, and today we will be monitoring governing board goal number 3, superintendent guardrail number 3's interim, and superintendent guardrail number 4's interims, as well as board guardrail number 4. So with that, can we move on to item B2, our discussion on board goal number 3?
Yes, this evening we are very excited about the progress that our English language learners have been making toward our goal. As a reminder, goal 3 says that the percentage of English learners increasing at least 1 proficiency level as measured by the AZELA will increase from 32% on August of 2023 to 50% by August of 2028. And I'm very happy to share that we are making great progress toward that goal. And I'm going to ask Mrs. Mary Lou Gonzalez and Dr. Brent Lloyd to come and talk to us a little bit about the progress that we're making. And we have special guests who are also going to help present.
President Trujillo, Member Vink, and Member De La Rosa in the community. Thank you for having me here tonight. As Dr. Gonzalez said, we're excited, Randy, to show our green check mark. If you go to the next slide. So we were able to meet this target of having at least 39% of our students. In fact, we doubled the rate. We went up 6% instead of 3% for this year. And we were able to have most of our groups meet their individual targets as well. That did not at this point were our students who are categorized as white and those who receive exceptional student services, who made more than 80% of their target, but didn't quite hit the target. And I'll just add that in terms of our domains, I know it's not here, but students are measured in reading, writing, speaking, and listening. And we had some of our greatest gains in our domains were in writing, which is great to see, considering that was one of our focus for this year, was to try and support writing proficiency specifically with our students receiving English language services. We'll go to the next slide. And then in terms of our school breakdowns, we also have targets for our schools. And the schools that you see highlighted in green met the district target that we had of 39% or more. That's why you see the Y next to their name as well. And you can see that some were close. Those are those who are in yellow. And we had some those who dropped and did not improve from the prior year, they are in the red. And that's what you see there for Magnet. I do want to celebrate at Heard, Kenilworth, Dunbar, and Emerson. We had at least half, if not more, of the students who improved a proficiency level. That's great. Heard is a school that has over 100 EL students who were tested, right? And so that's a large school with a large portion of EL students, and they hit that 50% mark. So that is a lot of work, and we're excited to have also, one of the other things I'll pull out is Kenilworth had 2 consistent years of nearly 60% of their students at proficiency. So we're excited because tonight Mary Lou's going to speak, and then we've invited representatives from those 2 schools to share some of the promising practices and the things that they did that they believe had that impact.
Good evening, President Trujillo, Dr. Vink. Board Member De La Rosa, our cabinet, and our community. We're excited to present today. I'll keep it very briefly in the sense that it really is a celebration of our EL interventionist. Sarah Rosari and I do the framework and the supports and roll them out. But at the heart of our success is our EL interventionists that are out there in the front, rolling out those intervention and strategies with our students. So I do want to have them have that opportunity to talk about the impactful strategies that they use. This is the second year where we meet our goal as a team. When we met in back May 14th was our last ECTM with our EL interventionist, and we celebrated that because we do find that we are the voice for a lot of our students, and how do we encourage for that to be more of just not our EL interventionists, but as a whole, that we're all teachers for all of our students. So continuing that vision and seeing that our students are growing really excites us, and we can't wait to hit that 50% mark. But with us today is two of our EL interventionists. We have Ana Alvarado from Kenilworth and Veronica Torres from Heard. So I will let them come over and talk about what has been impactful as they've seen their students grow.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ana Alvarado. I am the EL interventionist at Kenilworth Elementary. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today. We are incredibly proud of all the growth and proficiency gains we've seen with our EL students. These achievements are not only a reflection of our students' hard work and resilience, but also the intentional and collaborative efforts from our entire educational team. From Tier 1 classroom instruction to targeted EL interventions, I'm proud to share the progress our EL learner students have made this year. Our growth and proficiency gains are the result of the students' dedication and the intentional collaboration across classrooms and the interventions we provide as EL interventionists. Within our Tier 1 instructions, it was a key one this year for us as teachers embedded language objectives into their daily language and lessons using structural academic talks, sentence frames, and writing supports, as that was one of the goals we had this year for our students. We used data from last year to inform our instruction this year, and I'd like to highlight some strong examples. Ms. Lindley Liu in 3rd grade used high engagement writing lessons and inquiry projects that build both the written and oral language for our students. In 7th and 8th grade, Ms. Palin and Ms. Segovia implemented consistent language routines using visuals, constructive discussions, and peer feedback with all our students. Now, when it comes to targeted EL interventions, it also played a major role. I provided daily small group instruction for our 1st graders to 8th grade students, tailored to the student data and grade level standards. I also built strong relationships with my students by connecting with them personally, including sharing my own journey as an EL student myself. That connection built trust and opened the door for deeper learning, as they knew I went through that process growing up and they could trusted me. With our pragmatic supports across K through 8 included peer modeling, visual supports, and structured practice and opportunities, all of which help students apply new language skills with confidence. Lastly, collaboration was at the heart of it all. I work closely with teachers to co-plan lessons, model strategies, and use engaging standards-aligned resources from my district and from our EL interventionists alike. In short, what made the difference this year was clear: strong collaboration, targeted instruction, and meaningful student relationships. Thank you for your ongoing support in helping our learners thrive.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Veronica Torres, and I'm the EL interventionist. Well, I was the EL interventionist at Heard Elementary School, and I'm honored to share some of the reflections that I feel were vital in seeing so much progress with our ELs. I think one of the most powerful strategies, in my opinion, was simply building strong relationships with my students. From the beginning, I made it a priority to build this personal relationship, not just academic. And I think this helped encourage my students and motivate them to do better, not just for me, which some of them were really excited to show some of their progress to me, but also for themselves. In addition, I've been fortunate to receive excellent professional development from district, along with my admin at Heard Elementary, and also from Sarah Irizarry, who came and co-taught with me for a week. I believe that the support that we've received through West Ed and SIOP has been important in establishing clear routines, strategies, and it brought consistency into my classroom. These frameworks gave my students the stability that they needed to take risks and feel confident in their language learning. And ultimately, I believe that when students feel supported, seen, and safe, they are going to thrive. I also believe that when educators are provided with the tools, we can create classrooms to help students succeed. And that's all I have.
Are there any questions?
I do have I kind of wondered, I do have a question, but I can't not share my comment of what wonderful, great news that is to hear. And one of my questions was going to be asking for some examples. So everything just came together. Thank you. I just was wondering, it's based on the data that we did receive, what if it shows us, any students that are struggling more than others, where are those gaps showing? That was my one question.
Yeah, I can share some with that. So we saw slides or where students didn't make as much progress with some of our pre-emergent students, as well as with some of our intermediate students who didn't make as much. We also have our for kindergarten students, they actually get 2 tests in the year. They have the kindergarten placement test, which is fairly short. I think it's around 30 minutes in the fall. And then they have a much more rigorous assessment in the spring. And we've noticed that the challenge of trying to do the kindergarten placement test and prepare them, when I say in the spring, it's really, 4 months later, 4 or 5 months later, to have a much more rigorous assessment that they are ready for in we call it the spring, right, in January. So that's an area as well that we've recognized that we can make some improvements. We also notice that because the assessment is grade banded, meaning kindergarten has their own assessment, first grade has their own assessment, second and third grade take the same assessment for 2 years. Oftentimes we see more improvement in the second year, right? When they've taken it already the same exact, not the same exact, but built pretty much the same way. That second year or the following years, we usually see an improvement for our students. So we recognize a lot of this comes down to students' familiarity and readiness for a new assessment that may be measuring them in ways that they aren't used to, especially if they've taken it in prior years, but now it's a year where it's going to change. It changes again in let's see, third and fourth are the same. No, fourth and fifth are the same. 6th through 8th are the same, so we see like a dip in 6th grade where it's the first time they're taking that Azella. So it's almost like a new Azella each time it changes. And so we're working on identifying what are specific skills and tasks that may be different that we need to make sure that they have exposure to and preparation for, so that they're assessment ready, to be able to show their proficiency in the way that it's being required of them with the change in the assessment.
Thank you, Dr. Lloyd. Dr. Vink?
I just have a couple of questions. I am very excited about the growth that our students saw, especially at Heard with such a large population of EL learners. With Heard and Capital both having nearly 120 students, what does that look like for next year with 200 plus students?
Last we looked, it was around 170. So we have been in talks with Ms. Botts. One of the biggest things that we've done as a team is look at program and evaluate program, knowing how our schools have serviced students, getting to know that a little bit more. And what we found is knowing that if we have more protected time, because at some schools we had like 30 minutes for that service time, and with transition time, it didn't always work out as very a very lengthy time to focus on learning. So as we move into having bigger groups of ELs, how can we incorporate the models of 2-hour model where it's still with their ELA time, but it's structured with more supports? So versus having that pull-out model, how can we more almost like in a co-teach model of a sense of the teacher with the support of an EL interventionist, making sure that we're meeting those needs of students with appropriate scaffolds on time and not an extra part of their day within their ELA block. So we are looking at restructuring to ensure that those supports are there. In some forms, having larger groups, it makes it more attainable because now you can group students for those 2 hours to give them that targeted and integrated support with the appropriate scaffolds. Okay.
Thank you. Any further questions from the board? Hearing none, we will move on to item, let's see, B3. Our approval of our student outcomes focused governance progress monitoring report. I move that we approve our progress monitoring report for board goal number 3. Do we have a second?
Alicia Vink, I second.
Thank you kindly.
Ms. Erica De La Rosa,
Aye.
Dr. Alicia Vink,
Aye.
President Carmen Trujillo.
Aye. With that, our motion passes and we'll move on to item B4, discussion of our superintendent guardrail number 3.
This evening, we are looking at Superintendent Interim Guardrail number 3, which is around the recruitment, retention, and the employment of qualified staff to lead the kinds of efforts that we just saw helping our students to succeed. So if you'll look at the next slide, we'll actually take a look at the theory of action that we talked about. And one of the items here is the onboarding process, and in particular, the employee handbook. In surveying staff in previous years, there was a level of frustration that there was not a clear handbook or process if you were new to district. And in some cases, even if you'd been in the district for a while, but there was some sort of a change, it wasn't always easy to understand what the systems were or what the processes were. So we decided that in the onboarding process, we wanted to make sure that we had a clear onboarding process with a clear way for our staff to be able to have a hands-on document. The outcome of that was designed to be around improving our employee retention. We also had an input around making sure that we had a clear recruitment plan from institutions supporting diversity. However, with the recent passing of the document for Title VI, we have struck the diversity goal from our interim guardrails since it doesn't comply with state and federal guidelines. Even though that's currently in the courts to decide, we are working to make sure that we are in compliance. So as we look at interim guardrail 3.1, we had said that by May of 2026, the district would have clearly documented and streamlined hiring processes that include an employee handbook and an onboarding process for every employee to ensure all future employees feel welcomed and honored to be part of the Phoenix #1 community, generating a satisfaction rating of 85% or higher as measured by surveys of new staff within the first month of their start date. So last year, we changed the onboarding process so that rather than come together in a room of 100 and something people and go over, these are your benefits, this is how you sign up for your benefits, these are the people that are in charge, these are the days off, this is the payroll calendar. They now have a personalized onboarding process with each member of the human resources and payroll and benefits teams so that they get all of that information that they need to have prior to starting. That includes getting their keys, their badges, and their technology. Then when they come in, they get specific training for the departments that they need, but that's separate from that big onboarding. We found last year in doing that with our new teachers that many of them saw that as a benefit and felt like they were more prepared to accept information coming to them as part of that process. So as we look at our targets for this year, one of the targets is the personalized onboarding process that goes beyond just new teachers and is for every employee that is hired into our district now. Then in addition to that, establishing consistent interview protocols. So we now have interview protocols that always include members of the employee association, the Professional Support Staff Employee Association, as well as the Professional Educator Certified Teaching Association. We also have protocols in terms of what is required. There's some kind of a task that they do in addition to a series of questions that are asked based on the job. What we've done in addition to this is added the printed employee handbook. It's in its draft right now, and that's been developed with a committee of people from a variety of different places, from every employee group and every different type of employee. We've implemented our new interview protocols at the sites as well as in the departments now. And we've developed evidence-based practices for the new teacher mentoring program. And we also actually finalized our updated process for the employee transfers. And this year in particular, with the closing of the 2 schools, transferring our employees and making sure that everyone had a place that would be satisfactory was a big part of this. And I want to turn this over now to Dr. Bowman to talk a little bit more about that.
Thank you, Dr. Gonzalez, Governing Board President Trujillo, Dr. Vink, and Board Member De La Rosa and community members. What I wanted to share just was what Dr. Gonzalez said. We had we reassigned and transferred over 104 employees into new positions this year that were our existing employees. That was a result of both the closure of schools as well as the reduction in budget related to title. I mean, that's a significant achievement that I'm proud of our department for overseeing that. I'm also really impressed with the principals in this process. It was a collaborative effort, and also, most importantly, the employee, because what we sought first was what their priorities were, and we tried to match their priorities with what the needs were in the system. And then we worked collaboratively together to make the best placements possible to serve our children. The good news in this restructuring of sorts is that many high-quality teachers have now been placed into schools and classrooms that were also serving the districts in really important roles as reading specialists, interventionists, master teachers, IEISs, et cetera. But now they're back into the classroom, which will be a tremendous benefit for our students. So there's a really good side to all of that. As hard as that is on people, it's going to be, I think it'll be very favorable for our students. Currently, we have we have 5 classroom vacancies, classroom teacher vacancies. For this time of year, compared to many years ago, we're in really pretty good shape. Last year at this time, we had 0. So we're not as good as last year, but right now we have 5 classroom. We have 11 special education and 2 IEISs. That's not including our support staff. Those are our direct classroom support staff. So I wanted to share that with you. I wanted to do accolades to the principals and to the staff, and also to the staff in my department for working tirelessly and collaboratively to do the absolute best we can to meet the needs of our district and our students.
Dr. Bowman, did you say 400 when you initially?
Close, 104.
100, okay.
Well, I should say 104. So,
Thank you, just to clarify.
yeah, not 400.
I was, I needed to have that clarification, so I appreciate that. Yeah, that's great news. So 5 classroom vacancies, 11 exceptional student service vacancies. What was the last one?
We still have 2 IEISs that we're going to be interviewing and hiring hopefully this week or early next week.
Perfect. Thank you very much for the clarification. Are there any questions from the board?
How many associate teachers, is that the right term? I'm not sure if, yes, okay. Did we end up?
It is. I don't have that data right in front of me, but most of the associate teachers were rehired.
Okay,
But the good news is going back to, we have highly qualified certified teachers that are also in place. So we were able to reduce some of our associate teachers. And it ended up being, in most of those cases, it's when the principals and the school recommended that we not bring those associate teachers back, the ones that we didn't.
okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have one more quick question, and I'm addressing it to our CFO, Mr. Whittle. If that's all right. I'm wondering what buckets of funding we use to produce all of those items to help onboard our new staff.
Yeah, great question, President Trujillo. So when we're looking at that, we want to look at what is the best type of funding for that. Is it a one-time allocation? Is it an ongoing? Typically, right now, we don't want to put that in our M&O budget because we want to free that up more for our salaries and benefits. So currently, we are using cash-controlled funds, such as indirect account.
Thank you very much for the info.
And we also use Title II for our professional development of teachers.
I had one more question too. Well, you said something about diversity because of the law. So is this graphic not the updated one then? Or like, will diversity stop? Will it stop saying diversity? Is that what you're?
We do not have an interim guardrail for diversity any longer. So the goal itself may have to be changed, the guardrail number 3 that says it will not allow the district to operate without a system designed to recruit, employ, and retain diverse staff who reflect the community and meet the needs of our urban district students and their learning environments. We are working with our legal team to see if that language needs to be changed. But in terms of having a separate guardrail that specifically addresses diversity, we've removed that guardrail goal or interim guardrail.
Okay, so, okay. Okay, so what was removed is like, I would have to go back and look at previous.
Interim guardrail 3.2 has been removed.
Okay. Okay. And then we're working with legal to find out what we can add. I guess I'm not great with removing it entirely. As we know that our students do much better when they have staff that reflect them. So I just,
We are working with legal to make sure that what we have in here will be in compliance with the statute that we've been given. So at this point in time, we will always work to make sure that our students have teachers who are reflective of and who understand how to work in the communities that we serve and that are highly effective.
okay. Okay.
Dr. Vink, great question. And it does lead into a later request that I did want to bring up as far as what that looks like to revise or replace guardrails. So I do plan to put that on our future agenda to have that conversation. Because you brought up a really good point, adding or having a guardrail in place regarding our budget deficit. So I think it's time to have that conversation. And in working and connecting with our coach, he was really supportive, and I just needed to collect more guidance on how to lead that conversation when we do add it to an agenda, but I am making that request today, later this evening. Okay, are there any further questions from the board? All right, hearing none, I move that we approve our student outcomes focused governance progress monitoring report for superintendent guardrail number 3. Do we have a second?
Erica De La Rosa, I second the motion.
Thank you kindly. Mrs. Shipp, may we please have a roll call vote?
Full count for Ms. Erica De La Rosa,
Aye.
Dr. Alicia Vink,
No.
President Carmen Trujillo.
Aye. With that, our motion passes, and we will move on to item B. B6, our discussion on superintendent guardrail number 4. Dr. Gonzalez, will you be presenting?
Yes, I'll be presenting this. Again, this is Superintendent Guardrail number 4, and this is about the equitable allocation of our resources. So if we look at the next page, we look at the theory of action. This was a guardrail that we wanted to set up to make sure that we had allowable funding sources directed to address site needs. Some of the outputs that we had discussed were site-led strategic tutoring using trained family and alumni to help provide that tutoring, and making sure that all sites had access to funds to provide more enrichment activities. And we recognize that the outcome of both of these outputs and the input would be to increase student outcomes. So as we look at the next one, Interim Guardrail 4.1 says that by May 2026, the district will develop and implement a system to support strategic tutoring at focus schools, employing alumni and families who are trained and meet requirements to serve as contracted vendors, increasing familial tutoring support to students moving from 0 focus schools to 10, meeting their annual board goals. So if you look at the next page, this is what we've been able to accomplish this year. Unfortunately, due to our budget projections and the threats to federal funding, inputs for Interim Guardrail 4.1 were not able to be guaranteed, and so we didn't begin that guardrail as early as we thought we would be able to. We did identify a partnership with All in Ed, and the governing board approved an MOU earlier this year to be able to move forward with this. We're planning on collaborating to provide training for family teams to be trained as tutors and as school volunteers. But at this point in time, we can't promise that we will have the funding sources to be able to fund them as paid vendors. We're also actively reaching out to families to let them know about different career opportunities in the district, including instructional assistants, child nutrition workers, transportation specialists, any of the positions that we know we have high turnover, and these are 3 areas that we tend to have higher turnover. We're reaching out to families and encouraging them to apply for those positions. Interim Guardrail 4.2, by May 2026, the district will employ a formula to deploy district-earned civic funds back to the schools based on an equity scale. This is based on poverty and achievement, similar to the Title I formula, to support every school's opportunities to provide engaging, enriching experiences for all students, moving from 0 district civic funds distributed to 25% of the funds distributed to the schools. So in this one, you can see this is what we had set up for year 1 to develop this process. We have already identified partnerships to support field experiences at every grade level that are aligned to our curriculum standards at the grade levels, so that every student in our district has at least 2 field experiences that they get to participate in annually. We also started our agreement with Facilitron that allows us to promote our buildings and our spaces as user-friendly, widely available programs that people can lease, and that gives us opportunities for future revenue. That revenue is revenue when it's leased revenue. It's revenue that goes into our civic funds, which allows us to do the innovative programming that we talked about in the first interim goal of hiring our family members and alumni as trained tutors, and that they can be paid as a contract vendor in that area. Are there any questions about this one?
Do you have any questions, Dr. Vink? Thank you. I do have a quick follow-up question. I am wondering what it looks like, how we are reaching out to our community to share our career opportunities in our district's schools as instructional assistants, child nutrition workers, and transportation specialists. Is it more like using school marquees, or is it more word of mouth on each campus with staff?
It is both. So we do have it on the marquees whenever we have positions that we're hiring for. We also post hirings on our websites. In addition, when we are working with our schools, going to their family meetings, their cafecitos, we are also sharing with them at that point in time that we have positions available. And in fact, at a recent one at Dunbar, we shared that one of the reasons that we can't provide as much transportation as we would like is because we're short bus drivers. And in sharing that we were looking for bus drivers, we had a couple people very quickly say they would be interested. And our human resources department reached out to them personally to invite them to apply. So those are the ways that we are working on that. Our school leaders are also working very closely with families, particularly the families that they know, and our FACE specialists, families that they know are looking for work, helping them to be able to apply for those positions.
May I ask how we're tracking those things? Is that one of the data we get from, I don't even want to guess the name of it because I would rather maybe Dr. Bowman or Dr. Gonzalez have more insight on that than my assumptions.
How we track the people who are applying for our positions.
I guess like the ones we're awarding positions to, if they are family members, like I guess for this item, if I missed it.
I don't know that we track whether they're family members or not. I
Got
don't
it.
know if that's, no, we don't track whether they are family members or not. We typically learn that they're family members through the course of conversation after they've been hired, but
Thank you. Will we maybe get an update on the funding sources for interim guardrail 4.1 at, I guess maybe by the next? I guess I'm also wondering what buckets that would come out of, because it sounds like M&O.
well, that as our CFO mentioned earlier, we don't want to use our M&O for those kinds of, so that's why having the money in a civic fund helps us to be able to do that, or through grants. So always looking for grant opportunities to apply for grants, working with partners like All in Ed, being able to fund that through their grant to be able to support that, and then fund it through, in part, Title, one of our Title programs.
Perfect. That's what I was wondering, just as far as projections were concerned, what that looks like.
Yeah, but as
Okay,
we've
great.
shared before, our M&O accounts are they're not huge. And so and that's where we're trying to build up a positive carry forward. So we're constantly looking for alternative funding sources. And that's where we're so grateful to Mr. Whittle for helping us find the better ways to use our resources.
Awesome. That's exactly what I was hoping to learn. So thank you very much for the clarification.
I just have a comment, I guess. When we're looking at allocating resources, I see things like our reimagine plans and school consolidations as allocating resources. I've asked for an independent equity audit of the reimagine and consolidation processes, and I would like to include that in the development of future guardrails. That's all.
Just for clarification, Dr. Vink, so future changes to the guardrail or future interim guardrail?
All of the above as soon as possible.
Okay. Mr. Whittle, may I ask where the cost for something like that might come out of? It's just a guess.
Yeah, I mean, again, from what bucket or how much?
At some point, both, but mostly the bucket.
Yeah, we can definitely look at that. Grants is a great one, like Dr. Gonzalez mentioned. We don't want to put too much in our M&O account. I mean, that's, you want to have these buckets where you're going grants first and then other allowable sources such as your cash accounts. Right now, we're in such a tight budget with our M&O. We want to get stuff out of there.
Thank you. I appreciate it. All right. Are there any further questions regarding the interim progress monitoring report for guardrail number 4? Hearing none, I move that we approve our progress monitoring report for superintendent guardrail number 4. Do we have a second?
Erica De La Rosa, I second.
Thank you kindly, Mrs. Ship. May we have a roll call vote?
Roll call for Ms. Erica De La Rosa,
Aye.
Dr. Alicia Vink,
No.
President Carmen Trujillo.
Aye. With that, our motion passes and we will move on to item B8, our discussion on board guardrail number 4. This guardrail is around making sure our new board members have a quality onboarding process. And I can say steps we've taken to carry that out for board member Ovia would be to make sure she's had reading materials, making sure her equipment and everything were distributed early on, access to trainings, accessibility to cabinet members to have meetings, things like that. So I will make it a point to connect with her to see what that looks like, but that is a gist of what my experience has been in carrying out our process for onboarding. Anything to add from anybody else? All right. With that, we'll move on to item C1, our community communications. Let's see. All right. It is now time for the public to join us and provide community comments. Members of the board may not discuss items that are not specifically on the agenda. Therefore, pursuant to ARS 38-431.01G, actions taken as a result of public comment will be limited to directing staff to study the matter, responding to criticism, or rescheduling a matter to further consideration or decision at a later date. With that, we've got 14 comments today, so that we'll leave it at 3 minutes for each one. We'll start with our in-person comments. And then follow up with Mrs. Ship sharing our electronic comments. I'd like to ask and welcome Leanne Griffin to the microphone and have her followed by Adrienne Spies, please.
Well, you would put me first. Here we go. My name's Leanne Griffin. I'm a long-term community member here, born and raised in this school district. My parents both went to school in this district at this school next door, actually. And I'm a graduate of Whittier Elementary School. I'm here to ask today a call to action of some sort. Here to ask that the board amend their vote for the sale or lease of the district property. I want to encourage or ask that this vote is seen as a step towards innovation, a step towards utilizing our resources that are here, right here in the community. We have, I guess this has been a thing that has been a topic of discussion today. I had a certain amount of bullet points that I wanted to hit as I started thinking about this. And then as the conversation continued, it's all about innovation. It's all about the students. It's all about resources. And that's what we're here to ask you to do, is just put that on the table for us so that we can consider what all is out there, what resources are available. Currently, I'm a member of G Road nonprofit and a staple in this community, offering services to over 200 of the students that are in this community. And we all have the same, all of us, everyone here has the same mission, the same thinking that we need to be creative. We need to give all of our students everything we can. And that involves thinking outside of the box a little bit. It involves innovation. It involves asking everyone here to say, we want to have an amendment. We want to have options available to us, at least start the discussion about what we can do with any property that may be available to us. So there's currently my understanding that this would be our one opportunity to speak our mind and potentially have an amendment to a vote that has already been said no to. We would like that to be reconsidered, and with the thinking behind it that there's potential, there's resources out there on the table that are right here for our community that can build and unite, that can bring us all together, that can give our students here something different. It can increase enrollment, retain students that are leaving left and right. All of these things can be seen as a positive if we're shining the right light on this situation. So just something to consider. We really are behind this. We have plans that we'd love to be able to talk about in greater detail if given the opportunity to do so. We've listened to the community. We've taken into consideration what the needs are of the community, and just would like for that amendment to take place just so we can simply have open discussions about some resources that are out there for the kids that we're maybe not tapping into the full potential for long term. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Adrienne Spies. Good evening, everyone. So I will piggyback a little on that. I couldn't figure out from the discussion when the attorney was here last time whether or not, and I don't remember, whether or not each property is going to be voted on separately. That's what I would recommend if it's not already set up that way, only because I feel like there might be different opinions about different property. And I could see putting all the possibilities out to the voters and letting the voters decide, but it makes me worried or uncomfortable if it's all or nothing, if it's these 5 properties or nothing. So my suggestion would be, if legally possible, that there be a separate vote on each 5 properties. That way the voters can say yes or no on that. So that's just that. But the main reason I came to talk tonight was about the preschool changes. I was surprised to hear about the changes for preschool, because it wasn't something that the board had talked about, or if it was a part of a consent agenda or implied with it was something that was implied with the new budget or something like that, I somehow missed it. So I was very surprised that something of this importance wasn't talked about, wasn't specifically an agenda item for the board to approve, wasn't discussed at an open board meeting. I think it should have been, because it's such an impactful change for our whole community that we should have discussed it. Now, it may be, parts of it may be where we need to go. It may be a reality. It is a reality in some other districts. With some, I understand our financial situation, and maybe some families need to pay for preschool, but I do have a concern with some of the way it's laid out. So one thing is that, I think it's great that you're offering free preschool for district residents at Faith North. That's great. But a lot of I don't know how many families are going to be able to take advantage of that. Is it going to get full, and some parents aren't going to be able to get their kids into free preschool? And a lot of our families aren't going to be able to afford this cost. So I really think it's going to be a huge change to our preschool program, because a lot of families aren't going to be able to afford it. So it's going to change maybe the number of kids we have in preschool. It's going to perhaps change the kindergartners that are showing up. Are they going to have gone to preschool at all? Where are they going to go to preschool? Are they going to be ready for kindergarten when they show up? I think the preschool could be on a sliding scale based on income, or could be free for some families that qualify for free and reduced lunch. So that's basically the general idea. I'm not opposed to some families paying if they can afford it based on their income, but it should be free or reduced tuition for those families that can't afford it. That's my opinion. So I'm at 3 minutes, so stop.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to welcome Adam Lovelady, and followed by Allison Gulick, please.
Good evening. My name is Adam Lovelady, and I'm the master teacher for the Supporting Unique Needs program. I've had the privilege of working at Emerson since 2009, and I last spoke at a board meeting about transparency and clear plans moving forward for our district, families, and our students. I asked about the results from the Reimagine Phoenix meetings, and Dr. Ailshire took time to meet with me and discuss the realities and the potential we have in front of us. I'm here today to express my support and the potential for G Road in receiving a long-term land lease on the Emerson parcel to create a community center. G Road has proven to be an invaluable support for after-school care, summer programming, and next year will begin before care for our students. They're entrenched in our school community that continues to grow and improve in countless ways. Daniel Stanton, the founder of G Road, has been on a mission to improve the lives of those in our community. We've worked together on projects like the Autism Walk, something that demonstrates his belief of all students deserving a sense of belonging. Daniel shared his inspiring vision with me when he started at Emerson. He also held a community event at Emerson last week. He brings creativity, enthusiasm, and trust into innovative programming that has only just begun. This community center gives a place for students to build confidence and give hope for the endless potential of our youth. I've seen it firsthand when Freddie Crittenden, a G Road employee, ran at the Olympics in France. Emerson students cheered him on, and it opened up opportunities and aspirations. G Road will provide a trustworthy direction by creating intentional relationships for students to reach their highest potential. This is what Reimagine is supposed to be about. I urge you to give Jesse and Daniel Stanton the opportunity for their dream to become a reality so that others can dream even bigger And this goes along with what we were saying about the amendment to Emerson being included as part of the vote so that we can all have that opportunity to vote and share our support for G vote. So thank you.
Good evening, Cabinet and board members. Me again, Allison Gullick. I've been a parent of Phoenix Elementary since January 2024, and in that short time, I've witnessed an overwhelming issue, a complete lack of consistency and stability for our children. Kids are being shuffled between schools, programs are being rapidly eliminated, and services are being rapidly denied. This district is pushing families into chaos, and our children are paying the price. Children from Heard and Dunbar currently are experiencing immense grief as we speak. We cannot expect children to thrive academically and emotionally or socially when their experiences are built on instability. Another word I hear often from this district is resilience, but children aren't magically resilient. Children exposed to inconsistency in their formative years often become less resilient in their adult years. It's not resilience for them, it's survival. And that phrase has become a convenient excuse for the harmful decisions being made by the adults who claim to have our best children at heart. Let me give you a few examples. First, my friend and neighbor, Jennifer. Her son, who is on the autism spectrum, was thriving at Heard, but because of the district's desire to rent out property instead of serving students, that stability was ripped from her. She doesn't want her child in a self-contained classroom in Bethune, and she's fearful of Capitol and Whittier due to ongoing school violence. She tried enrolling her son at Magnet, our supposed neighborhood school, but was ignored. Where's he supposed to go? I'm very concerned the students are slipping through the cracks. Secondly, my son's own pre-K teacher, Amani Ponder. She's been with Phoenix Elementary for 7 years. She taught my son for 2. He can read because of her. He's emotionally developed because of her, yet she was non-renewed. Only after my husband contacted the district, she was offered a long-term sub position without benefits. This while the district claims to be pro-preschool. Eliminating the role of a life-changing teacher while saying you're saving preschool is hypocrisy at worst. Now let's talk about the preschool crisis. This board voted for Plan A, which never mentioned charging families, but now Plan C is quietly taking over. Parents like me proposed a sliding scale tuition model months ago to save Heard. It was dismissed. Now, $750 a month. For families in the Heard boundary, preschool is now inaccessible unless you qualify for Head Start with the elimination of Magnet pre-K. This isn't how a district supports families. This is driving parents out of the district, a district that has the real possibility to thrive. And based on inactions or actions that it's hard to believe that this district cares about our children or our teachers. This district belongs to the taxpayers, the parents, and the students, not just a few administrators. Public school districts are supposed to be a democratic institution. What's happening here is not democratic. It's silencing, opaque, and it's wrong. Let me be clear, this is not the fault of our incredible teachers, staff, and the board members who show up and advocate for our students. This is the fault of an administration that treats dedicated staff and passionate parents as disposable, and of certain board members who won't talk to us because it doesn't fit the SOFG model. Teachers and support staff are what makes this district run. Support them. We shouldn't have to beg the media to be heard by the district, and we shouldn't fear retaliation for speaking up, like the mother from Whittier, who was shamed on the latest Fox 10 article after her daughter was being viciously attacked at Whittier. I've seen the videos. They're on Facebook and TikTok if you want to see it. And finally.
That's time, Ms. Golick.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you very much. I'd like to welcome Angelica Luna to the podium, followed by Nikki Borselli, please.
To whoever is controlling the camera microphone, stop muting people when they're speaking. Carmen, dices que todo lo que haces es para tu gente latina, pero eso no es verdad. Estás lastimando a tu propia gente mientras tus amigos del distrito te sonríen y te usan como títere. A tu gente latina lo amenazan con llamarle a ICE si se atreven a venir a hablar. Jalisa, when we send letters to this board, we expect you to read the names as well. I didn't say employee A. I said Sarah Sims, who received a massive raise and promotion. And I did not say employee B. I said Nicole Baker, who was in charge of marketing. But what marketing? We haven't seen anything. Are you getting paid to do nothing? This leadership is destroying public education. Amazing teachers who truly care for our kids are leaving because no one in this leadership is listening. Instead of accountability, we get deflection, excuses, and more harm. This is exactly why families are turning to Republican policies and school vouchers. Not because they support them, but because they're desperate to get out. And honestly, at this point, I do not blame them. And if vouchers are the only escape from this dysfunction, I say take them. You also blame low enrollments as a reason to closing schools. Yet you're closing 5, splitting K through 8 campuses, turning them into K through 4th and 4th through 8th, forcing more families to leave this district. Make it make sense. Phoenix L is pushing kids into corporate failing mode, test-driven, screen-focused, silent classrooms 4 hours, but hand them a paper test and they thrive. Dr. Gonzalez, you're using the same failed ASU prep model, giving high raises into district employees, millions spent, no academic gains, and 13.3 million went missing or money laundering. Now here at Phoenix L, you're creating high-paying jobs in district for people whose only role is to push your agenda and mislead the public. And we find out $8 million are missing? Same story, different district. Is it true you were let go from ASU prep? Is this why you're taking their building away? Also, Dr. Gonzalez, tell Arthur, or you know him best as Art Libowitz, we said hi. Also, Phoenix L, didn't your last CFO allegedly left saying, I'm not going to jail for this? You went months without a CFO, and now the one you just hired helped run his last district into receivership. Is he here to fix the mess or to cover it up? Also, why does he need a secretary? Why is Faith North receiving over $99,000 per student and teachers are still asking for money donations online and asking parents to donate snacks? Where is the money really going? Start investigating them, Shelley Bogues. Stop closing schools. Stop pretending you're not. Stop with the we had no choice. It was a very hard decision. This was your plan from the start. These schools aren't closing in 5 or 10 years. They're closing now. Stand united, fight back. You're copying Roosevelt District, using the same excuses under SOFG. I'm angry because of you. My 7-year-old is having anxiety attacks, crying because you guys closed her school. She has never struggled with this before. People are telling me to lawyer up, but what good is that going to do for my brokenhearted child? Thousands of students will be going through the same pain, and you're just sitting here with smiles on your faces like it's sunshine and rainbows over here. You are grown
That's
adults
time, Ms.
mooching.
Luna. Thank you very much. Nikki Borselli, it's your turn to talk. Thank you, Ms. Luna.
Hi, my name is Nikki Borselli, and thank you, President Trujillo and members of the governing board for the opportunity to share my thoughts about the resolution for the ability to sell, lease, or exchange property, for that to go on the ballot in the fall. Again, I'm Nikki. I'm the board chair of G Road, and I am wholeheartedly in support of this resolution. G Road has a vision, and the vision is to build a state-of-the-art community center right here in the heart of Phoenix for not only our students to do G Road programming, but also to serve the needs, provide the resources that their families and their neighbors also need. We also see this as an enrollment tool. We know multiple families who bring their child, who have moved their child to go to Emerson in order to take advantage of the G Road programs. So last week, we held a community meeting to share this vision. And while it was light on details, that was a necessity because we haven't been able to fully go into the plan, building a plan on how we can get this done, because we would only be able to enter into a lease with the district for 20 years. And that simply isn't practical when we are needing to raise multi-millions of dollars to build this center. And without a longer term commitment, we simply can't do it. So this resolution, and if the voters would approve it in the fall, this would be the first step to making this vision a reality, not only for the district, but also for our students. We believe that our community deserves this. Many of the members of the G Road board are from the neighborhood and still have deep roots in this community. And I understand the concerns of fellow community members and can appreciate the call to pause the process, given that there are, multiple properties on under consideration. But while I understand and appreciate them, the reality is that we've been told time and time again, this will happen. I mean, since I was little, our resources and our support will come tomorrow or next year or in a few more years. And today we have the will, we have the momentum, and we have the support to make this happen. And I think it is important for us.
That's time.
As a
Mr. Hickey.
community.
Thank you kindly. With this, we'll move on to our electronic comments. Mrs. Ship, whenever you're ready.
Our first comment is from Paul Wilfert. I have been a parent of 6 Shaw and Faith North Montessori students over the past 17 years, and I have been a staff.
I missed one. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry to cut you off. I'd like to welcome Jennifer Polly to the podium. My apologies for miscounting. This is our last in-person comment.
My name is Jennifer Polly, and I'm a parent to a child attending school here at the Phoenix Elementary School District, and we reside in the district. In support of what Allison had to say with the concern regarding recent school closures, I didn't very well articulate the point I was trying to make at the last meeting regarding school closures versus school shootings, and I just want to address that briefly. Jong-Young Kim, an economics PhD candidate at the University of Houston, made comparisons of the impacts between school shootings and school closures. And his research demonstrated that students impacted by a school shooting saw a 13.5% reduction in their adult wages down the line. And that, as far as students impacted by school closings, they saw a 25% reduction in wages as adults. He also compared the estimated annual aggregate cost of school shootings at $5.8 billion, and he compared that to the estimated annual aggregate cost of the closing of school at $7.6 billion. So closing schools costs our communities roughly 1.3 times more than a school shooting. So I can't underscore how important it is to keep our schools open for these children. It harms our children and it harms our community for the long term. Our community learned last week that the district received an expansive proposal earlier this year at some point from G Road to lease a parcel on the school grounds at Emerson. And that includes plans for building a new community center. And that would not impact existing school buildings. It wouldn't cost the district money. The district would own a new building completely paid for with grants. The programming at G Road would likely increase enrollment at our schools. And the community center would encourage more community engagement. And for anyone who's not familiar, G Road is an amazing after-school program organized by a fantastic staff. So I'm completely baffled as to why our district didn't ask G Road to come and present this plan to the public and our governing board sooner. That would have potentially altered the outcome of our last session, the last meeting. So now our board is going to have to kind of make a rush decision on this, right? So in order for G Road to move forward with their plan, the district needs the ability to lease a portion of the Emerson School parcel, hence the proposal last meeting to sell, lease, or exchange several school properties. And I'm in support of this proposal. We cannot afford to lose this program to another school or another district. But considering the complete fumble, by this district resulting in school closures and the overall lack of communication from the district, my concern is that we have parents in other parts of this district who are going to vote this down. They're going to vote down our bonds. They're going to vote down these proposals. So, and there's active campaigns right now saying, hold the district accountable. Don't let them close schools. All right. This is going on. So our district is not being painted in a favorable light. Our bonds are in jeopardy and we might lose out on this proposal. Given our current tensions between the community and the district, I think voters are going to be wary of giving our district carte blanche with respect to how the school properties are used. So current language in these proposals is giving the district permanent power over the disposition of any of the listed properties. This governing board needs to proceed with caution. Council should carve out a separate proposal for the district to enter these long-term lease agreements. Specifically for Emerson Elementary, I think Adrian's recommendation to make these individually votable.
That's time,
States?
Miss Polly.
No,
Thank you very much. My apologies, Mrs. Ship. Whenever you're ready, we are ready.
Okay. Our first comment is from Paul Wilford. I have been a parent of 6 Shaw and Faith North Montessori students over the past 17 years, and I have been a staff member for 6.5 years. I have a concern I would like to express. During the talks, meetings, and debates regarding the closing of 2 schools, I felt it was strongly suggested that those supporting the closures of the 2 schools were doing so to help keep the preschool going as it is at Shaw, among other reasons such as less staff layoffs, save money, etc. During these discussions and meetings, one did not get the impression that if the district were to close 2 schools, we would only continue the preschool options if we added a $500 to $750 per month fee. This plan and information should have been explained and enforced. I feel by supporting the closure of 2 schools and then getting blindsided with the district adding a significantly high preschool fee to Shaw that I was played and the discussions regarding this were intentionally not fully honest and intentionally not forthcoming with the preschool fee information. Thank you, Paul Wilford. Our next comment is from Rebecca Santiago. Hello, my name is Rebecca Santiago, and I'm a member of the Coronado community. I am writing to request that at the May 27th board meeting, the board votes to include the Emerson Elementary School property on the November 4th ballot. This would open up the opportunity for G Road to lease the land adjacent to Emerson for more than 20 years, thus allowing for the potential of a new neighborhood center on the property. As a community advocate, this project would add incredible value to the community and, more importantly, provide the necessary space and resources to disadvantaged youth. They are the future of our country and deserve the proper care and investment to set them up for success. Thank you for your consideration. Rebecca Santiago. Our next comment is from J.R. Gomez. Dear school board members, my daughter has been a student at Shaw since preschool, and over the years, we've seen many changes take place within the school district and the schools. As we move forward as a community, I strongly advise the board to deepen its partnerships with organizations like G Road that are actively supporting students beyond the classroom. These partnerships are a vital part of student success and community resilience. Several school facilities have been asked to be closed and more uncertainty follows. These buildings still belong to the community, and rather than letting them sit unused, let's work together to repurpose them meaningfully. And if additional facilities are needed, we should empower our partners to help shape and develop those spaces in alignment with students and community needs. We don't have the luxury of time to stall progress. Let's not delay necessary action by assuming any one group has all the answers. Plans may need to adapt along the way, but thoughtful forward motion is better than inaction. Our students' time and potential are too valuable to waste in indecision. By focusing on what we can control and leading into strong partnerships, we can build lasting positive change. Sincerely, J.R. Gomez. Our next comment is from Joseph Leong. My name is Joseph, and I am the parent of a student at Shaw Montessori School. I would like to express my concern regarding the new fee structure for preschool. I would like to highlight the following items for your consideration. Number 1, was the board or community involved in this decision? It is best practice for schools to provide their governing board with a list of fees, tuition or otherwise. Number 2, is there a governing board policy governing student fees specific to tuition? Number 3, the district seemed to communicate to the board and community that closing 2 schools would assist in continuing free preschool for the district. At best, it is poor planning. At worst, it was willful dishonesty. Number 4, will these monies subsidize other district programs, or will it just be for preschool? Number 5, will contracts be offered to parents identifying what the tuition pays for, example, transportation? If there will be late fees, is the monthly amount locked in for a period of years? Number 6, will this tuition be prorated for short months due to breaks? If a parent withdraws, will they be owed any refund of days not attended? Number 7, this tuition will favor more affluent families, and thus preschool classes will lose some of their diversity. Number 8, is the district considering extending tuition to kindergarten as the state funds 50% compared to other students? Number 9, given agenda item E1 from the board meeting on May 8th, I have concerns that the district has implemented adequate internal controls to safeguard monies, including these new tuition fees. Number 10, finally, the short notice to impacted families is not very considerate. Thank you. Our next comment is from Vanessa Jimenez. My name is Vanessa Jimenez, a parent of a Whittier student. Good evening, governing board and district leadership. My name is Vanessa Jimenez, parent of a Whittier student, neighborhood and community advocate. I would like to address the 3 issues if time permits. New leadership at Whittier, the lack of adequate teaching staff for middle school, and agenda item E2. Thank you for seeking new leadership for Whittier. I hope the new principal will adopt a hands-on approach with walkthroughs and increased visibility in the classrooms, making staff feel more supported. It is also hoped that challenging behaviors will be addressed, as my son did not receive the instruction he deserved last year due to excessive time spent on classroom management. Regarding teaching staff, my research on board documents suggests that there may not be sufficient personnel for middle school alone. There should be 12 middle school teachers, but my count a few weeks ago showed only 9. With the closure of 2 campuses and previous discussions indicating that 75% of the staff set to be RIFT could be retained, it is hoped that this will be resolved well before July 30th. Lastly, concerning agenda item E2, it is hoped the district will partner with community partners who have shown interest in improvement to be beneficial to staff and students. Enrollment and community spaces should be prioritized to attract communities back to the schools, especially given limited funding for public education. Adding a community center at Emerson could potentially help recruit families to the district. The G-Road program has significantly benefited my son, who previously required a one-on-one aid and experienced outbursts, but now participates in programs like Mini Med School and Kids at Hope. Transparency and effective communication are needed to finalize this partnership. The governing board was elected to direct and guide the district on its decision-making processes. Please consider adding Emerson to the land lease and addressing the other concerns mentioned. Thank you. Our next comment is from Jessie Stanton. My name is Jessie, and I'm writing on behalf of G-Road, which currently provides out-of-school care for students at Emerson Elementary. We are requesting that the board reconsider its decision to exclude the Emerson parcel from the November 4th ballot. G-Road is a program that is of no cost to families, providing enriching and quality programming for over 200 students after school, and next year will expand to include before-school services. G-Road is committed to supporting the students of Phoenix One, and our vision is to open a neighborhood center on the land adjacent to Emerson Elementary. This facility would allow us to deepen our roots in the community, expand our services to include additional community resources, further facilitate quality partnerships, and support our efforts to become a fully sustainable organization with social enterprise opportunities. We look forward to engaging the Phoenix One community as we fine-tune this vision in coming months and years, and thank you to everyone who joined us for our first community meeting. Our next step in this process is a long-term land lease of the Emerson Elementary parcel. This would allow us to start fundraising for the neighborhood center. We are in support of the district's efforts to design and implement creative uses of spaces and land to generate revenue, fill gaps in services, and increase enrollment. Thank you for considering an amendment to your vote, and we look forward to continuing our partnership. Jessie Stanton. Our last comment is from Paul Booth. Phoenix Elementary School Board. I am writing a concerned parent within the district. I believe it is time for a change in leadership for this district. At some of the recent meetings, I have been shocked by some of the discipline and safety concerns brought forward by parents at schools like Whittier and others. We need leadership that will support the teachers and victims in these incidents instead of sweeping it under the rug. I'm not sure what is going on, but we need a plan to fix it. Ignoring it and later settling in court isn't working. Instead, we seem more focused on possibly selling or leasing out more of our neighborhood schools. On top of that, we are still severely lacking in transparency and still no hint of changing direction to a community-focused approach to figure out what we want for our schools. Schools are becoming specialty dual language, public health schools, and zoo schools on a whim with no input from the communities that live in these boundaries. Again, these are neighborhood schools, not magnet school. We can't achieve basic academic success in a safe environment, which needs to be priority number 1. Now, there is even more uncertainty as other schools become the target of this cabinet's vision for the future of the district. From January through March, we heard from the superintendent and other cabinet members that closing 2 schools was necessary to prevent losing valuable programs like our on-site preschool programs throughout the district. We had a Discovery Fair May 3rd, and there was no mention of changes to the preschools or charging. Then 2 weeks later, we get an email that we now will only have 1 site for half-day free preschool at Faith North, which is not easily accessible to many in this district. On top of all of that, you are now charging for a full-day preschool at 3 other sites. Head Start is available for those that qualify at some, but not all sites. If you make just a little too much, you are out of luck. You are now charging for Shaw, but was that not funded with desegregation funds? Where is that money being spent? The timing of this after people have already enrolled was horribly managed like everything else this district has done over the past couple years. Now they want the taxpayers to fork over even more money and trust them to do who knows what with our buildings in the future without our input. No, not with this cabinet, not with the superintendent. I urge the board to hold leadership accountable and make the changes needed to right-size this bloated out of control administration that is quickly leading us down a path that none of us asked for. We need safe, accessible schools that teach our kids the fundamental building blocks for their future. Let's get back to the basics. This concludes our electronic comments.
Thank you, Mrs. Ship. With that, we'll move on to item D1, the approval of our consent agenda. Our consent agenda lists several items for approval by the board in a single motion. We have amended this agenda to take out one of the items, which is now one of our action items. With that, do I have a motion to, or actually I'll move to approve the consent agenda as amended earlier.
Alicia
There-
Vink,
Oh, go ahead.
I second.
Thank you kindly. Any discussion? Hearing none, may I please have a roll call vote for the approval of our consent agenda as amended?
Vote count for Ms. Erica De La Rosa,
Aye.
Dr. Alicia Vink,
Aye.
President Carmen Trujillo.
Aye. With that, our motion passes, and we will move on to action items. Next, which we'll begin with E1, please. Receive, discuss, and take possible action to accept policy JL.
Go ahead.
So this is our second reading of this policy. We received input from staff members with questions. We've worked on those questions, and so now we have a new version of that with those input added. And this is the opportunity for people to ask questions, make comments to that resolution, and Mr. Ross is here to answer any questions that we might have regarding that policy. Are there any questions or inputs recommended for the second reading?
I feel like I did share mine in a previous email when prior to the agenda going forward, so I don't have any additional ones. Do we have any other questions or comments from other board members? Thank you. Hearing none, would you like me to?
You can make a motion to adopt the policy.
I move that we adopt and accept our policy JL for student wellness as a second read. Do we have a second?
Alicia Vink, I second.
Thank you, Kylie. May we please get a roll call vote, Mrs. Ship?
Vote count for Ms. Erica De La Rosa,
Aye.
Dr. Alicia Vink,
Aye.
President Carmen Trujillo.
Aye. With that, our motion passes and our policy is adopted. Next, we'll have item E2. Receive, discuss, and amend if desired, and if deemed advisable, to adopt a resolution ordering and calling for a special election authorizing the sale, lease, and exchange of district property.
At this time, we have Sarah Sims, who is going to come up and present the hypotheticals that were asked for in the last governing board meeting. We also have our legal counsel on the line for questions. Mr. Gale is here to virtually to answer any questions we may have in this process.
Thank you. Welcome, Mrs. Sims.
Thank you very much, President Trujillo, members of the board, my fellow cabinet members, and especially the community. My name is Sarah Sims. I'm the Executive Director of Strategic Initiatives. I want to thank the board for suggesting a refresher presentation highlighting the completed work to gather community input regarding revenue generating possibilities and the importance of adding parcels to the November ballot. The presentation I'm about to give you this evening will consist of 3 sections. Number 1, a review of the Reimagine Phoenix process and the priorities that were identified. Section 2, hypothetical scenarios for possible revenue generating opportunities on district land. And 3, our 2030 vision for signature programming, state-of-the-art facilities, and revenue generating opportunities that will benefit our community and students. So if you would, thank you. So in phase 1, if you could go back for me, Randy, thank you very much. I want to take us back in time a little bit and review very quickly our Reimagine Phoenix phase 1. We envision Reimagine Phoenix in 3 phases. We have completed parts 1 and parts 2 of this process, which we will review with you tonight. We look forward to continuing to gather community input in phase 3, which is set to begin in August of 2025. Looking at the slide for Reimagine Phoenix 1, this was a process that was started with the community in January of 2024 and concluded in May 2024. This consisted of 5 community meetings where we reviewed our data, our district demographic trends, city initiatives, and we identified the district and community priorities. This portion of the process included 241 individual members, including community leaders, partners, staff, families, and site leaders. In phase 1, we identified 3 priorities: creating school programs that inspire and attract new families, more hands-on learning, attracting and retaining high-quality staff, and leveraging lease opportunities to develop shared spaces that enrich our community. What we were able to do in that first phase of reimagining was really to pivot quickly, thank you right there, with our current partners to implement the priorities that we had heard from the community were most important to them. Some of the highlights of those were partnering with the YMCA to provide some affordable childcare to employees at our Monterey Park campus. We have partnered with some local developers who are offering low rent apartments to staff within the Phoenix 1 boundaries so that staff is able to live where their students live. We were able to maintain before and after school programming with YMCA, G Road, and Boys and Girls Club partnerships at no cost, utilizing our ESSER funds. We were able to create and have our first night of inspiration with employee recognitions. Sorry, we good? Okay. We also developed a plan for the relocation of to the Anot Center for a relocation of our plant services to a safer, more convenient property, which also then provides us with space right downtown that could be a possible revenue generating opportunity. And we also heard loud and clear from the community the desire and the hope for school configurations that created small grade banded schools with more teachers able to partner with their colleagues at appropriate grade levels. So this moving to the K4 and the 5-8 model. Then moving on to phase 2, which began in 2025. I'd like to be clear that the purpose of this session of Reimagine Phoenix was never school closures. The process was to focus on what types of programming our schools need to implement to attract and retain staff and students. Reimagine Phoenix Phase 2 happened at 5 different locations around the district, taking into account walkability, dense housing, language needs of campuses, and also schools that may be impacted. So meetings were held at Herrera, Heard, Edison, Dunbar, and Capitol. Those meetings were held in English and Spanish and at varying days of the week and times. Phase 2 consisted, like I said, of those 5 meetings. We had 153 individual members, community leaders, partners, staff, families, and site leaders. And the 3 learning concepts that were identified over and over again from those sessions were schools that were focused on science and technology, spaces that had maker spaces and student-led demonstration. And we heard over and over from the community the need to bring in experts to support our students in those learning experiences. The community told us they wanted to have career exploration through hands-on learning with community mentors and more enriching field experience opportunities to inspire the possibilities that students can imagine for themselves in the urban core. The community told us they would like to see more gifted and hands-on learning opportunities for all students with pathways to career and technical education and authentic learning experiences. So based on that second phase of Reimagine, we have moved ahead with programming options at Garfield. Many of you are aware of our garden school, which allows for entrepreneurship, food and nutrition, programming, culinary arts, production garden science, and marketing of all of those programs with an emphasis on grade levels 5 through 8. Reimagine Phase 2 also opened up a beautiful possibility with the Phoenix Zoo. Edison will become in the fall our zoo school, which is an exclusive partnership with the Phoenix Zoo, focusing on animal sciences, ecosystems, and healthy habits for both humans and our animal friends in a K-4 setting. The community told us that they would like to see the re-beginning of our dual language immersion program, which will be a K-8 program housed at Lowell. Bethune will become our health innovation campus, kindergarten through 8, with partnerships that provide for both students and families opportunities into the health careers. Emerson will be a K-4 and Whittier a K-5 with inclusion of our SUN program. And Herrera Fine and Performing Arts, the community spoke loud and clear about the use of our PAC and making sure that we take full advantage of marketing those types of programs to students. So what do we need? We need high quality programs for our students. We need to recruit, hire, and support staff. So Randy, I think we need to move ahead a couple slides. Oh, no problem. Take a little breather, I can catch my breath. It's okay. I'm going to go ahead while we see if we can get those slides caught up. What do we need? We need high quality programs for our students. There we go. Thank you so much. We need to recruit, hire, and support staff to provide the types of learning experiences that will help our students thrive now in high school and beyond. We need to have learning spaces that are inviting, that allow children to have state-of-the-art equipment and allow them to dive deeply into the concepts. And we need to have a range of field experiences that allow our students to discover our city's rich treasures and support more hands-on and place-based learning. So what else do we need? We need fiscal security. The lease opportunities that we speak to you tonight will provide flexible funds which allow the district to deliver programs and to help cover the costs of programs such as preschool, sports, before and after school programs at the lowest cost possible to families. We need to be able to leverage lease opportunities and create partnerships that sustain programming. We need to be able to pass bonds to renovate and update our aging facilities and create the types of learning spaces that our community and our students envision and deserve. We desire to carry forward an annual budget balance of 10% to weather those financial storms and ensure that we can retain high-quality staff and serve our students. Moving into the hypotheticals, I am contacted regularly. It's been quite eye-opening to see the amount of calls that we are receiving on a weekly basis from entities that are interested in leasing buildings or land that is owned by the district. While each of these calls is incredibly exciting, they're also speculative. So releasing the specific names and intents and interests of all of those parties too early is just not prudent at this point. So moving forward, we will use hypothetical examples to discuss innovative possibilities for our students and community. And hypothetical number 1 is Community Center at Emerson. This would support before and after school programming for students in the northeast portion of the district. provide customized programming with local partners who are invested in the community to allow students to pursue passions, student-focused passions, and provide a community venue with lease opportunities to generate revenue, which we've talked about previously. Lease revenues are much more flexible, which is why the district is leaning towards lease opportunities and not sales. Hypothetical 2 is a possible sports complex at Lowell. Lowell is a very large parcel of land. This would again support our before and after school programming for students in the southwest portion of the district. This would provide a sports-focused campus. Possible partners would be with local athletes. And this also would provide a community venue with lease opportunities for us to generate revenue. As many of you know, the rec and the competitive sports leagues in the metro areas create huge revenue, and we would love to have facilities that would be able to welcome some of those types of activities. Hypothetical 3 is similar, yet a little bit different in the aspects of using the PAC. This would also support before and after school programming, but yet in the southeast portion of the district. It would provide opportunities for the PAC, the Performing Arts Center, and the surrounding fields to combine with the City of Phoenix parks to create a rec league for the region. Many of our schools sit adjacent to city parks, and we would love to find ways that we can leverage both our facilities and the city's facilities, which side by side, and oftentimes, honestly, are very underutilized, some of the city parks. And again, this would provide a community venue with lease opportunities to generate revenue. So if you look at Phoenix #1 in 2030, our vision is to have the financial means to provide the programs outlined here. We have buildings and parcels of land ripe for possibilities that would provide financially for the district and bring programming and services to our families and communities who deserve nothing better than the best. Phoenix #1 in 2030, we want to be recognized as a high-performing district with great programs and even better facilities for our students. We would like to seek signature programming such as CTE, dual language, STEM, continuing our Montessori and our fine and performing arts. We would love to see a sports academy, and we'd like to see expansion of math and science academies. We also intend to expand our Serving Unique Needs, or our SUN program. Strong, sustained partnerships provide unique opportunities for students to learn about the heritage of the community and encourage student enrichment through after-school sports. As you can see there, that we would love to expand our menu. Again, listening to student voice with what they would like to see offered at their campuses, but having the flexible funds available from lease opportunities would allow for us to expand these expensive programs to before and after school. We would love to go district-wide sports and fitness with sports skills and conditioning K-4 and competitive leagues 5-8. In 2030, we envision schools with new designs to incorporate all of those hands-on learning opportunities that we heard so clearly from the community that they wished for their students. We would love to see leased spaces that create community benefit and sustained revenue to the district to support preschool, after-school enrichment, arts and sports, and district-wide field experiences. We spoke earlier about the Ann Ott Center. We would love to provide an updated space for plant services with easy access for buses to navigate the streets, avoiding the congestion of downtown, a modern centralized kitchen for scratch meals for our students, temperature-controlled facilities for our warehouse and trades to work in comfortably, and a large convening space with orchards and native gardens and a catering production kitchen, all again under leasing opportunities which allow us for flexible funding. I would like to thank the board for this opportunity to review the work completed to this point and for the trust provided to staff to dream big. With the input gathered from the community, I believe our possibilities are endless. Thank you. Are there any questions?
I'll go first. Thank you, Mrs. Sims, for the information and for the reminder about our plant services staff. I do always worry about them in the summer.
Yes.
Remind me again what CTE is. Is that Transitional Employment Services?
Career and technical education.
Career and Technical Education. It's
Exploration.
My old work brain, and I couldn't remember exactly what that
I
was.
apologize for the acronym.
No, no worries. I wanted to clearly understand our programming and the wording that we use. My other question was CTE, and then when we say bonds and things like that, we also, that does entail override elections and those kind of things. All of those things can be
They're all,
not called the same thing, but they are
they're all voter approved measures, which
measures. Okay. Perfect. I just wanted to again gain clarity to make sure I was seeing and accepting this for all of the information that you provided. Thank you very much.
You're
Dr. Vink?
Has this current presentation been shared to the community in any other ways?
Yes, in our Reimagine Phoenix, we did wrap-up sessions. So we went over those priorities with each of the stakeholders that were there. And then in the visioning that we're currently doing for the revamping of 2 of our campuses, all of this information has been included with the public and is very much the focus of those planning sessions for construction and possibilities for opportunities within those buildings.
Okay, so at 2 sites, they've seen things like this, I guess?
Yes,
Okay.
they've seen specifics. Mhm.
Okay. And remind me which 2 sites then?
Garfield and Edison.
Okay. Is there a reason then if we're looking at innovation, being able to use our resources, being more flexible, why wouldn't we put all of the properties on the ballot?
Super good question. I believe I asked that question when I started this position. We need to be strategic and we want to be thoughtful with those buildings. There has been some discussion whether these buildings equate to a school closure, and I think that it's perfectly clear that it does not. Some of the calls that we have received asking about land and asking about parcels, it's perfectly clear that any residential developer will not have a discussion with you unless they can get at least a 75-year land lease. So when we start looking at parcel size and availability of land, we want to keep our schools. And our ideal usage of schools is that we keep the school and we also revenue generate on the rest of that parcel. We have some parcels that are close to 11 acres in size, and downtown Phoenix, to have an 11-acre parcel of land is huge. And if we could keep the school on part of that parcel and then have part of the parcel as a revenue generating, that would be our ideal. And so the parcels that are listed for consideration are parcels that we believe have enough land sufficient to meet that goal of having both a school and a revenue generating opportunity.
But they still haven't been split in any way. It's still, the request is still currently for the entire property.
Correct. And that allows for some flexibility in design and looking at what size a developer may need. So having the whole parcel there does include the school. The board determines, of course, anything that comes through. And so if there was a design to divide a parcel, that would have to go through the governing board approval.
I see. I still don't think that it is clear that, especially in a climate where in our district, we've just closed schools, and in surrounding districts, schools are being closed. I don't think that it's clear that these 2 are not connected, especially because the people that are voting are not in this room to hear that it's not connected. And our families who are going to hear rumors about it being on the ballot are not in this room to hear that it's not connected. I also think that as people see, even if you say, no, it's not connected and it needs a different board vote and, when I, as a parent, am looking for a school to enroll my child, if things feel shaky, I'm gonna take pause before I enroll. And having a school, a selected school, be on the ballot feels shaky to me. I think that, again, if we're looking at flexibility, we're looking at innovation, we're looking at resources, I don't think that we should single the schools out. I think that we should put them all on the ballot, and that will allow us maximum flexibility and signal to the community that we very much are it's kind of dire right now. It's 2025. Funding is uncertain. And B, that we as a whole community are going to work together, that all sites are included in this, that all families are included, all community members are included. So that is just my thought where I'm at with this. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Vink. Very great feedback. Do we have any maybe information from our attorney that wants to be shared? But I should also say that I wasn't aware of the minimum requirement that builders or entities of interest would look for being 75 years.
That's
I'm-
specifically for residential.
Got it.
Yes.
I do appreciate that information,
sure.
Mrs. Sim.
Thank you.
Yes.
So if I'm understanding, you're asking if we can put all properties on at this time? That are not already on the, Mr. Gill, are you still there?
Yes, Madam President, members of the board, this is Jim Gill with Gus Rosenfeld. Sorry, I couldn't be there in person tonight. So the question is whether all properties can be on the ballot. And sure, the answer is legally that is fine. As the board recalls, it already approved 2 school sites to be on the ballot for a sale, lease, or exchange election. And we could modify the resolution that's before the board tonight to include the remaining sites if the board wishes to do so.
All right. Are there any other board member questions?
I'll move to adopt a resolution ordering and calling for a special election authorizing the sale, lease, or exchange of all district properties not currently authorized, including Dunbar and Heard, since we already approved that. I'm not sure. Does that work?
We did approve Dunbar and Heard already.
Yeah, so excluding them.
Well, they would still be on the same
Okay.
ballot.
Okay. So
But one of the other things we had talked about was the addition of a sentence that clearly states the intention is not to sell these properties. The header language, and Mr. Gill, you can correct me if I'm misremembering, but the header language has to say sale, lease, or exchange. But we had also talked about having in the body of the paragraph, our intention is not to sell properties.
okay. Does that need to be included in the motion? Because it would still legally, another board could still sell, correct? I don't, can't,
And that's a question for Mr. Gill.
Yes, if we did qualify it in the ballot question that there's no present intention to sell any of the properties, we could do that. But of course, that's qualified to a present intention, and this board or a future board could override that with, if the opportunity came up that a sale made more sense. And of course, we're hearing tonight that district administration believes leases make more sense. But who knows if the market turns or whatever. So yeah, if you did one possibility is you just strike sale entirely from the ballot question. Of course, that limits the flexibility. And if a sale was needed, you'd have to go back out to the board, back out to the public for an election. So if we leave sale in there, we qualify it to indicate that there is no present desire or plan to sell any of these school sites. We could do that. We could even better explain it in the voter information pamphlet, what the current thoughts are, just so the voters understand. That can all work. I guess my only question for what's being discussed at this point, are we limiting it when we say all properties of the district? Do you just want to see school sites on the ballot, or are we including administrative sites as well?
I would prefer to include administrative sites as well. All sites that are not currently approved.
Okay.
Mr. Gill, if I could, this is Sarah Sims. Just a clarifying statement that right now it is not beneficial for us to sell based on Arizona revised statute. Should that change, a sale may be beneficial to the district. So I just want to make sure that that's.
Okay. And we could even, and obviously we'll run the revised ballot language by you, and we could tie it to current statute, just to make it understandable for the voter why we're qualifying it a bit. So sure, that makes sense. Thanks, sir.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Gill, was our motion sufficient for a
Yes.
second?
Yeah, I believe, yes, it's clear.
Thank you, Kylie.
I'm sorry, may I specify that that includes plant services? It's already there, right?
Sir,
Okay.
excuse me, plant services was already approved many years ago.
Perfect.
Along with the Fillmore property, Monterey Park, and
The New Times.
the New Times.
Perfect.
Great, thank you guys very much. With that, this is Carmen Trujillo. I second the motion. May we please have a roll call vote?
Vote count for Ms. Erica De La Rosa,
Aye.
Dr. Alicia Vink,
Aye.
President Carmen Trujillo.
Aye. With that, our revised resolution, our amended resolution passes. And we will move on to our closing items. Item F1, board member requests and
I'm
future agenda.
sorry,
items.
President Trujillo, the consent agenda item, do we have to go back to that?
So sorry.
Item,
Absolutely, yes.
now it is item
At the agenda instead
E3.
of my notes. My apologies. Yes, we'll move on to our just action item discussion of 2025-2026 professional support staff and administrative supplementary and nominal fee pay plan. Stipends.
I just had one question. I just wanted to ask if there were I saw there were stipends for some head positions and lead positions, and wanted to see if there's any positions that are not being included in that and maybe why.
Not to my knowledge. There's nothing that's not included.
That are lead positions.
The lead position,
Yeah.
the gifted education leads there, the EL team leads there, the lead teachers there. Those are all in the first section, category A.
Okay.
So they are included.
Do we have a lead for social work?
No, we don't have a social work lead.
We don't have a lead position for social work?
We have
Where-
the coordinator of social work.
Okay.
Who is the lead for
Okay.
social workers?
And is the coordinator position, I see there's some coordinator positions included too. So is the social work included under a coordinator?
It's part of their job responsibility. It's not an extra stipend.
What is part of their job responsibility? Being the coordinator?
Yes, they're compensated more for being a social coordinator.
I see. Okay. Okay. Thank you. That was all.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you both very much. Any further discussion, any question on this? From anyone? Hearing none, I move that we adopt our 2025-2026 professional support staff and administrative supplementary and nominal fee pay plan, our stipends. Do we have a second?
Alicia Vink, I second.
Thank you. Kindly, may we please have a roll call vote, Mrs. Ship?
Vote count for Ms. Erica De La Rosa,
Aye.
Dr. Alicia Vink,
Aye.
Ms. President Carmen Trujillo.
Aye. With that, our motion passes. And this item does pass, and we'll move on to our closing items. Again, my apologies for jumping ahead. Do we have any board member requests or future agenda items?
Do you have any while I get my list together? Sorry.
Mine were, I would like to, I believe this would be a future agenda item. I would like to revisit our board meeting, already approved our board meeting dates, times, and making sure, or I would like a discussion between the board, whether or not Tuesdays are still good for board meeting dates, to revisit that as an opportunity to be more prepared attendance-wise for the next school year. And then my other one would be to revisit, have an agenda item to revisit our guardrails for our framework. Okay, and that's it for me.
I have a couple. One is an update and board presentation on our processes for placing students with IEPs within the district and outside of district, I guess. Receive, discuss, and take possible action to establish a guardrail that develops an appropriate timeline for community and board discussions for items that significantly impact programming.
May I ask you to please repeat that, Dr. Vink? I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Receive, discuss, and take possible action to establish a guardrail that develops an appropriate timeline for community and board discussions for items that significantly impact programming. And we can talk more about where that stems. An update on how we expect program fees from preschool and before and after school to affect our funding, I guess. And then just an update on how many students from Heard and Dunbar are being enrolled by district, not because their families asked to be in schools that are not Capital or Bethune respectively, if that makes sense. So if they were enrolled at Heard and they're supposed to go to Capital, did district ask them to enroll at a different school for whatever reason? I think that is all for now. Thank you.
Thank you kindly. Any other board member requests or future agenda items or any clarifying questions needed for our requests?
Nothing for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member De La Rosa. All right. Hearing none, we will move on to adjournment. Item G1. I move that we adjourn this evening at 7:38 p.m. Do we have a second?
Alicia Vink, second.
Thank you kindly.
Will count for Ms. Erica De La Rosa,
Aye.
Dr. Alicia Vink,
Aye.
President Carmen Trujillo.
Aye. With that, our motion passes and we will be back here in the boardroom on, let's see, June 24th. Okay. June 24th, 5:15 PM here at the district office. Thank you all for being here in person and on